Lina, video 3. Okay, okay. Anyone was thinking about this activity? Who wants to start with the activity about the relevant social groups, reflexivity? I think is no. No, this one about this activity in related with the activities in the first two videos. Who wants to start with that? Are you you thought of something about this category of relevant social groups? No? Okay. We start. So okay, please come. No, but if you don't want, please don't stand up. It's okay. But if you want, it's okay.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Pleased to be here again to welcome us to this class. As regards the relevant social groups and the facultative flexibility, I think it is to look at these relevant social groups in the field of agriculture. And I identify the farmers as the relevant group,
Yes.
the research institutes as part of the relevant group, as well as the agro dealers, the input suppliers, as part of the relevant groups, governments, agencies, as part of the relevant groups, as well as the media. These are the identified relevant groups. Now, to the current issue of the food sovereignties we are talking about, I've mentioned these relevant groups to food sovereignty. Some institution that can get it, that will be the solution to them. For government, the problem of the government is the people sabotaging the resources that government are putting in to solve this particular problem. Like government releasing fund and the result that has been gotten does not commensurate with what we are seeing. So the problem will the government will continue to track this problem, and the solution to it is to have a transparent system that will do check and balances on whatever government is putting in into the system in order to solve the problem and ensure that it actually gets to the final end users. To the media, they want to be carried along in whatever form of information, whatever form of edge way that has been made in the system, so that they can be able to notify the other people in terms of this information, including the rural people that have constraints, so many constraints in terms of electricity, in terms of access to this information, in terms of education too, that can they be able to read printed media or government has to, so they have this is their own problems. And the solution they will be thinking towards as well is still having enough resources, among which I think fund is also one of it, as well as security, because that's part of the problem we are having in the country, yes, that their life and property being able to secure, even when they are getting to some of these interior area. So those are the social group I have identified and the way they perceive food sovereignties and the likely solutions to it.
Yes. Oh, it's a great answer. We have a lot of points to analyze. But do you find interesting, useful this concept of relevant social groups to the analysis? The colleague, of course, finds very useful because your answer was great. But other students find interesting, useful this kind of approach of theoretical frame. Yes.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Ayode. I look at the area of seed and planting material for farmers, and those relevant social groups that are involved and start with the farmer themselves, the research institute for the what I would call intermediaries. I was discussing with the Dara yesterday concerning that. And there are some special private sector that come into play basically for profit making, and also the seed companies.
Yes.
All right. So now having an interplay of all these principal actors. To start with, there is a form of mentality or a kind of a perception that farmer had before now that this particular seed is what we have been used to, and that's what we're being given to. That's what it is. That's kind of a notion. And perhaps there has been a kind of a research output that brought about an improved variety. Has brought about an improved variety and the need to push out to this farmer that okay, we have a better cultivar, we have a better improved variety that we need this farmer.
It's not the problem because the students got these mics and we are the school. We are trying with another link.
Yes.
People that are joining this thing,
They send the link to the students.
yeah, just to establish on this.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we are going to present them.
Acá lo tenés el WhatsApp de Hola. Si lo querés, no sé si puedes copiar o pegar.
Just for risk management, they are using documents.
Okay.
Yeah, they are using documents.
Okay.
Okay.
I send you, Agustin, your WhatsApp, so he can.
I'm going to send you the new link. If you please can put it in the.
Yeah.
So please continue.
All right. I was saying that in a situation where we have a new to get it to the farmer because they are the one to plant this particular. But having an orientation before now that this is the particular variety we are used to, maybe because of the size, but now we're having something that would do more in terms of a per hectare. So to convince them is number one. More than that, there is this sabotage. Will I call it a sabotage? Yeah. We have some elements within the value chain. I will knife with some particular group and say, okay, or if I get to it will be to have control over them, that we either have to exploit them, take money from them before they get the seed, okay, or perhaps we will lay down some, we will not just give them the free will or the freedom to have direct. Another thing is government policies, or those we call the policy maker, that they will be able to have a robust meeting to the people that are on the field and be able to have these stakeholders meetings that you just see people seated together like this, but the people that need to know what the problem is and how the problem should, having the farmer are the one at the receiving end, but we most of the time we don't have those farmers well represented in such a stakeholders meeting. Yeah. And perhaps we have one or two of them represented. The information they will give back to others seems not in correlation with what is being said in such a meeting. It's as if it's been distorted, or particularly for personal gain. I think I've seen that one or two times before, that we'll have meetings with farmers and they will call for their leaders to come and have such a meeting with us. And at the end of the day, when you go back to have a feedback, you will get to know that what is being said in such a meeting is not what is being transmitted to them.
Yes. So I think you both have something in common. That okay. Well, can I make a closure of that comment? And okay, the idea of the black box. When you start analyzing something, you must say as if. So I don't know the small farmers, but I know as if I know. Then I some theoretical construction of these identities. They have meetings, but because it's a top-down policy and it's not, bottom-up, bottom-up coordination. This is not present. I always have the small farmer as black box and media send the same. The state is even a black box. This kind of concept say state, there is some parts of the state that works, things exactly like big companies, but another part of the state, of the institution, of the research institute thinks different. Or no. But if you think, we are the good ones. But if you implement this kind of policies, even if you are the good ones, our policy, our technologies will be non-inclusive. Sorry, I want to, because both have the same comment. Please.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry, my voice is a bit cracky. I have cold, so just have to listen. Okay, I want to use a particular example to explain this thing. So I'll be using plantain, which you know as cooking banana. For farmers now, plantain is an artifact to them, is a particular product. So the horizontal social group there is farmers. They produce more of plantain on their farm. They have different plantations like that. But the problem they have is post-harvest loss, because when they produce plantain in large quantity and they don't see people to demand for it, it tends to get spoiled with time. That's their own problem, post-harvest loss. Then after this, what comes into play? They have to get manufacturing companies that will use this plantain to make plantain flours. Do you understand?
Yes,
So
yes.
they make plantain flours from these things, and some small business owners can also make plantain chips, plantain cake, like pizza, stuff like that. So that is now the problem of that particular company is government policies. When government starts increasing the price of commodities that they use in manufacturing these things, what do? They tend to increase the price of their products. Are you getting? They increase the price of their product, and with time, what happens? People find it difficult to get these things, to able to buy these things in the market. Then this particular company now, they also have a problem, and that problem is generation of waste. You know, when they use this plantain for flour, the waste, they don't use the waste. So what do? This waste can actually be used by another company. That is a soap factory, people that make soap. Right now in NIOT, we actually have a particular soap made from plantain waste. So this generation of waste now is their own problem. But another company, it is a soap factory, it is a solution to them. They can be able to use this thing to produce soap, and people can actually get from them. I hope you understand my...
Yeah, of course. It must be a great analysis. Here you are.
Good morning. My name is Olale Ibrahim. So my own idea about this relevance group, I'll try to relate it with my institution where I work. The relevant social group I identified, firstly, we have farmers. There is need for, let me use okra as the plant in question now. There is need for okra seed. And recently, the institution tried to develop a better variety of okra. So the institute needs to produce, we've developed the seeds, and the seed is better than the formal seeds that the farmers are planting. Now, we need to find a way to mass produce the seeds. Now, in this period of low rainfall, the institution needs to plant the seeds. There is a timeline. So they give the job to the researchers to find a way to mass produce the seed in the institute. So in the course of production, they discovered that this shortage of rainfall, this low rainfall will actually affect the development of the seeds. So the second relevant social group there now Institute proposed, okay, let's do irrigation system. So they put irrigation system in place. That's the technology, bringing together the researchers. Initially, to the institute, they believe the irrigation system will solve the problem of.
Regarde même la salle de cours là.
But along the line, the researchers discovered that the irrigation system is not really working because the amount of water needed by those plants to survive, to actually develop properly, is not really enough, is not what the institute is actually providing. So to the researchers, the irrigation system is not working. To the administrators, they believe the irrigation system is working. So I'm just trying to relate it to working and not working. To anybody passing through the institute, when they see irrigation system, they will, these people they are doing something that to the commoners, they believe the irrigation system is working. But to the researchers, to the people that are managing those crops, they know that the system is not working. So that's my own.
Okay. Please, can you share with your teammates there? Okay.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Timilade. So for my relevant social groups, I'm looking into researchers. Number two relevant group, low income earning farmers that actually produce vegetables. And the third one, extension officers. So the problem I'm looking into is that for vegetable production, infertility, and hence they use nitrogen fertilizer. And we know that nitrogen fertilizer has negative effects on the environment and on the soil itself because of soil acidity. So the university as the researchers will look into finding solutions. And one of the solutions is using our tropical legumes. We have some tropical legumes that we find on the farmland, that nitrogen fixing legume that can be used as green manure or in. So the research is ongoing, okay, to use this as green manure on farms and to see the yield at which it will bring for vegetable farmers. Because one, it is cutting down the excess use of nitrogen. At the same time, protecting the soil, it's serving as cover crop, it's serving as a booster for the soil nutrients that is being lacked and everything like that. So for the problem of the farmers adopting the use of green legumes is one, the time consumption plants those green legumes on their fields. That is one. Two, the time for decomposition of the green manure on their field before they can be able to plant. So researchers also, they have to look for an alternative again to now see or to now set for those tropical legumes decomposing, and at the same time we need enough nutrients for the farmers to be able to plant their choice of vegetables. And for the extension workers, they are the ones that will be able to bring about the innovation to the university, to be able to inform the farmers very well on the type of tropical legumes to use as green manure, the duration of time, and just enlighten them that it can be adopted and it has a long-lasting effect on the soil, on their own production, and the production.
Due to paucity of funds carried out.
Anyone else?
And these projects are highlighted as follows. Once it was executed in the year of which effect of mutations using various varying degrees of
farmers, researchers, and the staff district. So there was a time the social farmers, that problem of the insect infestation.
Okay.
So and there's need to control these those insects.
Genotype of
trap. I can trap the insects.
These are the
compositions.
The project one executed under the year under review.
No.
The justifications have been a growing interest of the stakeholders in Kenya value chain.
Manufacture one.
And hence there is need for us to intensify efforts in the areas of genetic improvements to enhance production, ability area, and improve quality of fibers Despite many benefits, current both directly or indirectly from canals, each cultivation in Nigeria is still at its level. So this project tends to breed more
outside to
of canal varieties that are favorable to agroecologists for quality fibers and
they are more value
for both artisans and industrialists. So therefore, this research is meant to address this question for both quantity and quality of canal fibers. The methodology they are stated where the seeds
the institute is
is
working out
small.
to see how we can control those insect infestation to the barest minimum level.
A great example. Anyone else? I have some comments just for topics in today class and tomorrow class that was not for me, and in my writing is not very clear about. For example, I say that for you must you pay attention to the concept of food miles, that we are talking about this tomorrow, and with the someone listen about the NOVA classification, NOVA classification. It's a food classification about the grades of processing of food. It's created in Brazil by a medical nutritionist, and was adopted by FAO as a form of classification. I want to share this with you tomorrow, but the example, a very good example of that is the plantains of bananas in Guatemala, the United Fruit Company. When I listen to you, I remind this example that we are going to use tomorrow too. Because it's a political century. And in this classification, the banana is the grade 1, that is no processing. And when you read the classification, the first grade, you think there are 4 grades, and the 4 is the ultra processed fruit. I say, okay, ultra processed fruit is a non-inclusive technology, it's a concentrated market, there are big profits, but even in non-processed food like bananas, it's both non-inclusive, big concentration. So it's an example that I think that dialogues a lot with your example. For you speak after she. I think really the big question is better for who? Better for the government, better for the producers, better for the big company. Well, you think that this flexibility is about thinking for whom work and for whom doesn't work. And in fact, the working or not working is not about the quality of the technology, the artifact, the processes. It doesn't matter. It's work because it's adaptive. If it's adaptive, it works. Even when you buy a phone that you can call anyone, if everyone buys this phone is adaptive. And if adaptive, it works. No, what we think, okay, because it works, it's adaptive. It's the common sense. And we said, no, if it's adopted, it works. Even when you buy a phone and it has the same utility as a brick, it doesn't matter. If everyone buy it, it works.
As regards it works, the level of efficiency and the adoption, I think there are 2 different things entirely.
Yes, but
so I think I don't know how to say, but when it works and the adoption, they are.
But remember that
according to the Lacan theory of demand, there are a lot of factors that can also contribute to adoption, even if it works.
Okay, but for us, the working and not working is related to context. Today, later, it doesn't work because another phone is adopted, is the adopted one. So we start thinking, okay, technology works in every context, and it doesn't work in this context, with these actors, with this environment, but maybe tomorrow the situation change and it doesn't work. So we have a specialist in microbiology of the soils that in our university that published in, I'm talking about this one, that is published in Nature, is an advisor of the big corporate agribusiness, and start working with us. That's very, strange that when a professional with that profile want to work with us, that we work with small farmers, with small companies, and they say the big problem is not that you use MCOs, modified organisms. The big problem is monoculture, because you plant the same, comes, nutrients, and don't replace. So your example about how to plantain different, and the legumes example, when I talk about the legumes, why a sociologist know about the legumes? Well, when I read about, variety of crops, it's elsewhere. For example, a colleague of mine that is come from Mexico start studying about 10 or 15 years ago about the milpa. The milpa is a standard that cultivates different crops in the same parcel, very small parcels. And they come to Brazil, to the north of Brazil. There are a lot of people come from Africa. I don't know in which countries, but it was the sugar cane cultives, and start studying in there, and she found the milpa system too. The milpa is corn, legumes, pumpkins, and one per family. The whole family can eat. The soil is healthy, but she's an anthropologist. So, okay, this is a technology, but when she goes to, for example, to a researcher of agriculture, said, no, this is cultural. No technology. But even centuries and centuries and centuries, families feed themselves with good health with the milpa. And I'm sure that you have something similar to milpa. Small farmers, rotation of crops, and this is the technology. So we talk about this class, the more theoretical class, the more abstract class, and we said technology is social, is social, is social, is social, but we don't talk anything about social. Today we are talking about the social construction of problems from the sociology, from the cultural anthropology, and tomorrow we are going to talk about the solutions in a sociology perspective that use all these concepts. So we are going to start the second class. The lesson 2 is part of the model 2. It has 2 classes, today and tomorrow. You have this in the online campus. Okay. Pásame la siguiente. This. Today we are going to study sociology of food. What is sociology? Especially we're talking about one concept, the concept of Kaufmann-Clare gastronomy. Later I am going to say what is gastronomy. The cooking as the missing link in the evolution of the human being. The Neolithic revolution and the social construction of sense. Especially we are talking about the biology characteristics, about the link between the drifty genes and the culture. And finally, we are talking about the stages of the food systems, and especially the mandatory text today that is online in the campus is like 25 pages. It's about the long ring revolution that I think will give you some ideas, some practical ideas to all the things that you are talking about a few minutes ago. Especially a lot of aspects that you share with me was in that the green revolution, the long green revolution. Tomorrow we are going to see inclusive and exclusive technologies in the food solutions, the concept of food solutions that we use to link sociology, food engineering, anthropology, chemical engineering, the double burden of malnutrition and the new form of hunger, a new concept to analyze the relationship with food, talk about nutritional inequalities, the new fat distribution. This is the classification that I already told you, the NOVA, that is not an acronym of nothing. It says NOVA is new in Portuguese. The difference between taste and flavor, and finally the neoliberal diet as this area of the consumption of food. So just to start, let's go ahead. Anyone knows what is sociology? What is the minimal definition of sociology? No? Yes. Yes. It's a partial credit. Anyone? There's an American sociologist that dies very young that is called Carl Wright Mills. He had one short text that is called The Sociology Imaginary, that said that the minimal definition of sociology is the link between biography and history. In fact, sociology is a process like you say, of the environmental and social environmental, but it has two scales, an individual scale and a collective scale. You can understand one without the other. And the relationship between biography and history is the power. Power is always a social relationship. You have the classic sociology, Marx, Weber, Durkheim, all, for example, all these authors are, who comes first, the individual or the collective group? When you want to start to study sociology, say, okay, well, I must study first the individual, or from the individual, I go up to the collective group, or do the opposite. Start with the collective and finish with the subject. Okay. If you start with the individual, they are called sociology of actions. For example, Max Weber. But if you start for the big picture, they are sociology of the system. For example, Émile Durkheim, the French sociologist. Marx is in between, because you can understand the subject, the biography, without knowing the context. Without the context, there is no subject. And when you use this to understand diet, it happened the same. I am not going to do a lecture about classical sociology. If you want that I extend more with this concept, but for me and for now, I want to be clear that is a big process, a very long process that have two scales, and both scales are in relationship, and that relationship is the power. Come with me until now. So, what happened with diet? With the composition of diet? The diet refers to the ability, you know, what we can eat now, here, what we can buy, what we can find. A norm of cultural norms that limit that ability. This is the commensality. And this process of commensality, you know, establish as preferences. But these preferences, the taste, are not only individual in the subject category or even in the history category. The tastes are mutating from time to time. And my preferences are not only individual. My colleagues here in Buenos Aires, for example, like these two that are caramel milk sweet that I want to share with you. Please take one and pass. It's a sweet that is the Argentinian version of caramel milk. It's cow milk with a lot of sugar. It's cook and shake, and it's got solid. It's very about no, not we as the professor, as a candidate, but you know, these are some national hero that was the cooker of this national hero, Juan Manuel de Rosas, lives in the field in the first decades of the 19th century, and her cooker was eating milk with sugar. Her enemy, his enemy, comes to the field, to their house, and the milk starts, you know, heating. And when they come back, they discover dulce de leche, that it is caramel milk. Of course, it's a history, it's a legend, but the reality is that we eat a lot of dulce de leche. But the way we eat dulce de leche is part of our cultural identities, because there is another cow product, you know, hamburgers, for example, and we don't mix hamburgers with dulce de leche. There are some rules, and I think for you it's the same. You eat some things with some things at some times, in some context, and you don't mix another things in another context. So, pásame la siguiente, Lina. So, we start, every courses have the same idea. When this picture appears, we must do some group activity. We inspired by Clara, and Clara was inspired by the Pictionary game. I said, everyone plays. And this everyone plays is the first group task. And I want to ask you, what did you eat today? So, what do you eat today? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, of course. So, what did you get today for breakfast? Spaghetti. Oh, Okay, okay. You? You? Okay. What is it? No. La que estaba en el hotel en la avenida. It's something.
Como el porridge.
It's
It's
a
like,
porridge.
it's like pop, a little pop of poppies.
Okay, it's yellow. It's yellow.
Yellow,
Okay.
yes.
We see in the first hostel in Lagos. They said, custard, ask. And there's no custard. So I said, oh, we don't know what it is. And in the supermarket, we see some artificial industrial custard to make custard. So we see that it's yellow, but we don't try it. Okay. You, what do you have for breakfast today? Okay. You? Okay. You too? Okay. Okay. Rice? You? Okay. And you? Okay. You? Okay. You? Okay. Okay. Clara, do you ever have no. Do you ever in your life have spaghetti for breakfast? Okay. We ate bread, mate, coffee, dulce de leche. That's one. But there is a softer one that you can spread. You can spread on bread. But for example, I have colleagues in Spain. You know, you have a lot of immigration from Spain. I said, no, dulce de leche is too sweet. So, but you are crazy. It's wonderful. No, it's too sweet. So even when we are here, we add potatoes with carrots at the hotel. But if we want to choose, I'm for sure we are going to select bread, jam, butter. We have a problem in the hotel with the butter. We said butter, but the guy said butter to the cows. Butter, yeah. We said butter. Well, it's only like 5 minutes. That. Finally, the lady said, that one? Yes. But a lot of people in Argentina, her grandfathers, her grandparents come from Europe. And we ate some like European breakfast, but in fact, we don't have strong breakfast. We eat, a bread, a tea, a mate, and goes away. No, but in generally, we don't have, our strong meal is the dinner, not the breakfast. And we have some limited menu with breakfast. You eat a lot of different things, beans, spaghettis, and we eat cornflakes, milk, bread, and that's all. If I ask the same to my students in Argentina, a lot of them said, I don't have breakfast because I wake up very, very, very late and come here to the school. But the people that have breakfast, eat something quick, another. Pancake, okay. Breakfast, pancake. It's possible that an Argentine ate pancakes, but for sure, beans, no. Not beans. Noodles, a lot of you eat noodles. We are here about 4 days ago, 5 days ago, and we start used to eat potatoes for breakfast. We never I never in my life ate potatoes for breakfast. About 8 years ago, I was in Colombia, in a nice hotel from the beach with, 40 degrees, and the Colombians open a hot pot with soup, with meat, with corn. These people are crazy. I was sweating a lot, and they start eating and eating. And it's wonderful. Okay, it may be wonderful, but not at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I think they survive this. I don't eat this. I don't eat this soup because I feel I am going to die. If I went 40 degrees, eating hot soup, sweating a lot, even before I. But so what I'm going to say that the pancake, the bread, the rice makes sense for you. Makes sense for you. But if I am going to ask you, what is a modern breakfast? Not for you. For in global perspective, what is a global breakfast? Okay.
Very light food.
Okay, but what light food? What do you see in television, in the movies? What? Excuse me, what? Okay. Okay. But the industry, near the end of 19th century, there was a guy that had a hospital in Royal Creek in USA that discovered some kind of cooked oven cereals, dry them, put milk, and now is the American breakfast. That guy is called Kellogg's. And Tiger Tony, and that's the history. Even that, and you know the history of Kellogg's. Kellogg was the director of a hospital that wealthy people come to recover from their illness, and they offer natural food, no meat. They was strictly vegetarians, and start using the food as medicines. As medicine for everything. Hysteric ladies, people with, stomach problems, people that feel that don't have enough energy, only wealthy people. One patient at this Royal Creek Hospital still Kellogg's received of these, oven cereals. It's a grape and nuts. It's a guy that has a lot of money, makes a lot of money with the grape nuts that you can buy it today in the USA. And Kellogg's brother, the younger brother, said, we must to enter the business. No, but it's only exclusivity for my hospital. And they change not with the technology, bake the cereals, with the technology that it's healthy food for healthy people. This was the great discovery of Kellogg's, to sell food as medicine to people that aren't ill. So a lot of people eat cornflakes for breakfast because they think they are healthier than noodles, than rice, than beans. But wait a minute, rice, beans are natural, are not processed, and cornflakes are processed. Has a lot of sugar for children, but they construct an identity as healthy food. So, vamos con la siguiente línea.
Okay.
What I'm going to tell you that, this is one of our big inventions, the choripan. It's a sausage with bread. It's choripan. Chori is from chorizo. That is a Spanish sausage. We have a lot of Spanish and Italian immigration. It's made by half cow meat, half pig meat. They process, but they process, you know, pig meat, yes.
That's pork.
Pork. Pork, sí. But it can do in big scale, or it can do originally in the end of your house. You have, and you process it with you know, manual. See, yeah, yes, exactly. So you put some spices, but this is say, oh, choripan, because it has a food for social events, you know, political matches, football matches, because it's you put in the barbecue, you cut half, you cook easily and fast, and you cut the bread, and that's it. And what? Choripan. The last pan is bread.
Okay.
Choripan. But why? What do you think? Culture. Which food is more cultural, has more cultural identities with Argentina? What do you think? The first one or the second one? Okay. And what is culture? The first one or the second one? Culture. Culture. You know, to that culture. Yeah. Okay.
How do you pronounce hair?
Che, vamos bien. Okay. And if I tell you what is food, this one is food, this one is food, both are okay. And who have more rules, more social rules inside? Social rules, you know, cultural identities, there's ways of eating. Yeah, okay. But the most eaten food between this and this, I'm for sure, is this. Hamburgers are everywhere. Chicken hamburgers, you know, meat hamburgers, you know, veggie hamburgers too. So this guy is a French anthropologist named Claude Fiscler. That talks about gastronomy. The anomy for us, the sociologists, because I maybe must to say this first. The social science that most study the most about food is not sociology, it's anthropology. But anthropology study in two different ways. There are some cultural anthropologists that study the links between humans and food related by culture, but there are another kind of anthropologists. They are more serious people with a lot of data that is called physical anthropology. And the physical anthropology start measuring everything. Your height, your weight, how fat you are, you know, how tall you are, but both are part of the same discipline. The physical, the cultural, from the cultural anthropology, and says the eat we eat now is very different than the way we ate a few decades ago, a few centuries ago. As you already may know, Claude Fiscler writes in French, is a French anthropology, and all European anthropologists think that happens everywhere. So they have some polemic conception about that today eater, the people that we are eaters, have has a body and a cultural identities to manage the scarcity of food. But, it's Claire said, I'm not saying that, it's Claire said, our food landscape is of abundance. Abundance, especially in caloric terms. So we have a lot of cultural rules, cultural identities that make us to improve our caloric intake. But what we really is to reduce that caloric intake and eat not so caloric food as both, because both are caloric, very caloric foods, but we must eat more nutrient-dense food. Okay, this Claire have some ideas to start thinking about food in a social aspect. One is the gastronomy. The anomy concept is very important for sociologists because anomy is come from Emile Durkheim ideas, the social contract, the social division of work. That tells the anomy is the absence of rules to communicate, to create links between us. So this gastro is about we don't have rules to link, share links that networks. No, rules, reglas, rules that we understand food, all of us, in the same way. And I think it's a part of true and a part of not true. Because, okay, this is a food in a food landscape, in a national identities. We eat this not at breakfast. We eat this generally in companion, in a social event. And these don't have the same rules. But they have another rules. Because this is eaten generally, but isolated eaten. The choripan, choripan. The choripan has different ideas. The different rules. But Fiscler says that this kind of rules, of new rules, of industry rules, are a call for anomy. It's the lack of social constructed rules. I really don't accord with that. I don't agree with that because no, el anterior. Because there are rules too, but these rules are, are created by the industry of food. But the industry of food is not related all of us in that way. It's related in a top-down way. The industry selects our diet for us. And in this kind of things, there is not anomy. There is only one ruler, the industry, and we that follows that rules. So the interesting about this is the second big concept of Fiscler. That is the omnivore's dilemma. Why you can take noodles for breakfast, I can take bread for breakfast, and both are humans, and both have culture, and both have, national identities, because the human body can process a lot of things. Not everything, but a lot of things. So I am going to talk to you about the next one, please. About how food is the missing link in the evolution of the human body. How food makes us humans. I'm not going to bore you about history. I am here very, very quick. So, pásame la siguiente línea, por favor. The sociology of food have a context, biological determination, cultural determination. We're talking about the context, you know, this anomaly of scarcity and abundance, how we face the scarcity of food and how we face the abundance of food. Piscler says that we have more cultural identities, more cultural tools to management the scarcity, but not to face the abundance. We start eating a lot in abundance, we can stop, we can relate better with the scarcity than with the abundance, at least from an European perspective. At biology level, there are two important. One is the thrifty gene. Anyone listen about the thrifty gene? Okay. It was an important evolutionary factor that the thrifty gene is. When for example, when we were hunter-gatherers, we found a mammoth, a diet mammoth, or we hunted, you know, something, an elephant, the tiger, I don't know. I'm not a hunter-gatherer, so, but some big animal. And they haven't fridge, they haven't ways to conserve it. So they eat. Even when they are full, they keep eating. This is the thrifty gene. The leptin, that is the hormone that tell us stop eating, don't appear thanks to the thrifty gene. And the other part of the thrifty gene is the belly. We store fat, energy, in the form of fats, you know, here, especially in the belly. So we can record this energy later in times of scarcity. This is all this that I'm talking to is the thrifty gene. But the thrifty gene works very well to face scarcity context, but doesn't work like high technology in the context of abundance of calories, because the thrifty genes make you save energy in the form of fat, and start appear, you know, no communicable disease, you know, heart disease, you know, diabetics, you know, all these the new urban ills are come through the thrifty gene. Another thing is the hardwired preferences. This is coming from the neuroscience concept about there are some preferences that are cultural determined. You know, you live here, you eat some things on regular basis, you start preferring this. But there are other preferences that for neuroscientists are innate. You know, before you born, you just prefer that. For example, in 1979, I think, or 1975, a newborn medic for newborn babies that start given to the babies water with sugar and water taste. All the babies, when they eat, when they drink the water with sugar, start smiling. But when they drink the bitter taste, they start crying. There is a lot of explanation for that, but one is the mother's milk has some sweet taste. The water with milk was similar to the mother's milk. But as an evolutionary factor, these preferences for sweets are explained because there is no, in the nature, there is almost zero poison substances with sweet taste. And a lot of poison, you know, plants have a bitter taste. So We have the ability, we are very sensibility for the bitter taste as a protection to be poisoned. But these preferences, these hardwired preferences for sweet taste, the industry uses to eat more. There is some kind of sweet, I'm not a food engineer, but I think it's called dextrosa or maltosa. That's dextrosa, maltose, dextrose. That have the same properties that sugar, but not the sugar taste from here. But when we eat, the sugar sensation in the stomach are similar. So you can put this substance, for example, in veggies or in a bread or in you name it, and you feel, oh, that one is delicious. And this veggie is delicious of this, you know, cupcake or whatever is delicious. I feel like sweet, but I don't feel the sweet in the mouth. I feel it a few minutes later. This is kind of biologic determinate preferences. And another way that sociology of food works, the third factor, is a cultural. Culture in distribution and culture in commensality. So, you know, I'm sure for sure you study about Darwin, about the evolution, and always appears the missing link in the evolution of the human being. When we find this missing link, we can complete the history of the evolution. There is an author that is called Richard Wrangham that talks about that food. The book is titled Catching Fire. It's not so serious, but they have a lot of data about how food can be considered the missing link in the evolution of the human body. Because evolution has social factors and physical factors. From the perspective of the human body, there is little differences between the humans we are now and the humans that 2.5 million years ago. We have almost the same, the same organs, the same head, torso, the anatomy. We are the same. So what changed? Because we are not the same that we are as human beings, the human beings that 2,500 years ago. Well, the big changes is in the social part. Social part as organization to hunter, organization for the crops, organization to distribute, to share food, to buy food, but especially the cooking. The cooking solves a tension in the evolutionary of the human body between the brain and the stomach. A monkey, an hominid of our tall, our weight, has at least double the stomach amount. The stomach amount of us are very, very tiny for the people we are. But a lot of this, digestive process, our stomach can do. They are doing in the cooking. We cook our food, so we process food. We can eat food that, in another way, we can digest. For example, potatoes. For example, nuts. For example, some cellulose. Some cellulose, for example, the monkeys are always chewing all day. They can eat a lot more of cellulose that we can, but they spend a lot of time and a lot of calories chewing. We don't, because we digest that part of cellulose, we break that cellulose in the cooking. So the human body evolution is the evolution of the brain instead of the evolution of the stomach. We have small stomach, simple stomach, compared with another animals that are close to us. So, with the drifty gene that I already told you, and the leptin that is the hormone that says stop eating, we start changing our by the mouth, but we eat the food and especially the act of cooking evolution have very important evolutionary, are very important for the evolutionary to understand the evolution of the human body. And we have here a big moment with all this kind of evolution that in the gut, in the brain, in the food, collapse in one moment. This moment is the Neolithic Revolution. You study about Neolithic Revolution in high school, bachelor, yeah? And what is the Neolithic Revolution? Come on. When we stop as human being, hunter-gatherers, to start set in a fixed place. And when we start fixed in a fixed place about, it's like about 20,000 years ago, or even more, we start collaborating each other. But at first, we have some big issues. The expectancy of life shorts, and our height shortened by 20 centimeters. Because we start eating the same again and again every day. What happened is, as hunter-gatherer, we eat, wild animals, we walk a lot, and when we walk, we have nuts, we have fruit, and different kind of fruit, not the same banana, the same, and some like potatoes, some tuberculous, we don't eat because we are working, we are not digging anything. And especially food we start eating, it was not, crops, it was animals. We enclosures animals, and we start agriculture to feed a very high level of proteins as hunter-gatherers, and we started eating more carbohydrates. These carbohydrates explain why our life expectancy at the time was shortened, and our height was shortened too. It was about we can understand the cities without the Neolithic Revolution. And the extraordinary things about the Neolithic Revolution that happened in a short time, for the evolution times, in a very short period, all around the world. In America, in Africa, in Europe, in Asia, in everywhere, people stop being hunter-gatherers to settle in the cities. So we can support bigger populations, and you have more control of the food. Because if you are a hunter-gatherer, you work. I have an argument with she, I come with you. But when we live together, I am going to see you every day and she every day. So we must do some kind of distribution, some kind of control, some kind of, social division of course. And the agriculture is better for control because I can concentrate as a ruler the food and I distribute it. The other thing that we have as a main impact on the human evolution is the pottery, because you can save these cereals, you can ferment this too, as the Egyptians do, in the form of beer, you know. But you can, with the pottery, you can concentrate. You don't need to eat all at the same time. You can save for later, and you can have a direct impact of the how much humans live in your territory. This is a big technology to control the population. So it explains how even when we live less and we are shorter, the sedentarization process was successful. Pásame la siguiente, ¿sí? So, what happened? We talk about the evolution in the human body with the tryptophan, with the leptin, with the brain, with bigger brains that let us have access to more proteins. We can be hunters that we can coordinate each other to hunt bigger animals. But this evolution is coexists with another kind of evolution that is the cultural evolution. Food is culture too. It's not only an artifact, it's not only the access to proteins, to carbohydrates, to fats, it's also a form of preparation, a form of production, of consumption, and we are the only animals where can we transmit the way we eat now. We can transmit generation and be, you know, and be influenced by previously to enter this team. Massimo Montanari was a medieval, a history of the medieval age in Europe that talk about how food changes in the long-term history. But it has a very strong, you know, Western perspective. But it is interesting because food and, you know, the social structure are related, and it's a nice book to read. Pásame la siguiente. So, as I already tell you, the anthropologists divide in physical for one way and cultural for another way. And even today, in Argentinian scientific systems, they have two different commissions. One for the physical, that are more serious, and another for the cultural, that are more, we are living with communities, we started the social practice. But for me, there is a co-evolution between biology and culture. And a good example of this is the possibility to digest lactose as we are adults. You know about the lactose intolerance? Okay. And what is the origin of the lactose intolerance?
The enzyme responsible for breaking down of such a compound in the system, some lack it. So as a result of that, when we take it, they either result into diarrhea or poison.
Yes, but okay, but what is the origin of that problem physically? History. Come on? No. It has a genetic component. But the big evolution is we are born with some degrees with the capacity to digest lactose because the first wheat is the mother's milk generally. But about we have 3 or 4 years, we start losing the capacity of digest milk. But why some people conserve it? This is the key question. Because, for example, the North European people start producing a milk industry. But not the industry that today. They have cattle and they, you know, have milk from the cattle. And in places where it's not other, for example, in Noruega, no, in Norway, for example, there's a lot of snow. To have a cattle is to have food. You can, milk the cow and have food. You have transport this milk in cheese and you have food. But the people that doesn't have cattle or use cattle just for beef and not for meat start losing from generation to generation the possibility to digest lactose. It's a problem. No, not at all. It's not a problem. The problem is when you construct the problem wrong. For example, in the 60s, in USA aid sent to Brazil, deshydrated milk. I don't know what you say is deshydrated milk, leche en polvo, so, dry milk, okay, dry milk. Because there are poor people in the Amazons that need food, that children that are hungry. Okay, let's give them dry milk, and this milk can travel a lot of distance. But what happened? They don't have, secure water, and even the dry milk about 5 or 6 or 7 or even before at 3, for example, don't have the ability to digest lactose. And the problem is what you say, diarrhea, and the solutions make the problem even worse. It's not a problem, but this capacity of digest or not digest is a very good example of the coevolution between how you live and how you are used to eat, are in contact with, are part of your regular diet. So, at this point, we are starting thinking about a more modern concept. With this, very, very quick, very, very fast presentation about anthropology and the division of physical and cultural anthropology. Do you have any doubts? Do you have any question? Something that I must to repeat?
I don't think I get the history behind that.
Okay.
Sorry, what?
They don't the issue of lactose.
No,
No.
no.
The problem is that lactose is digested by the gut through some specific enzyme that's called lactase. Yes, and the lactase is produced by the epithelial gut cells when the lactose is present. So when you eat food with lactose, when you don't ingest lactose, our cells doesn't produce that enzyme. So it's a stimulus and the response effect. Okay? When the stimulus is not there, the response, there is no response. So you cannot digest. So when you cannot digest, this produces diarrhea, inflammation of the gut. Okay? It's like
Is more is worse than the problem.
No.
What do you mean by that? Say there is
Because we must do, okay. Okay.
Yes, I understand the reason behind being lactose intolerant. My question is, you're trying to relate lactose with culture. That's what I was trying
Because,
to
yes.
He's saying that
Pásala.
fraction of our
Pásame la
diet
anterior.
are,
No, no, no.
are determined by environmental factors and not only biological factors. Then, to have the ability to produce that enzyme is genetically determined, but the stimulus of secreting it is an environmental factor. Then the construction of the hypothesis that Luis is sharing to us today is that food diet is a co-constructed result as culture, environmental factors, and biological factors.
So when he said genetic issues or genetic origins, okay, so you are here. I said you're right, but there is a cultural, the day-to-day contact that Lina said you have or you have not the ability to process, because if you don't use, the body doesn't produce, and it's culture, and this is culture. Exactly, and especially the stimulus is culture. One part is biology, that's, as you say, but the other, and it's the classic, the classic approach. I said, it's okay, but you must to add this culture to have the big picture. Yes.
He said lactose intolerance in adults. He said there is a solution to it, but the solution is far worse than the problem.
Yes. The three fallacies of the science and technology. We have to reproduce. Okay. See, Maria. When we want to solve a problem, but if you don't construct the problem correctly, it's a big possibility to reproduce the original condition you want to change. For example, if I don't know nothing about the population and give them milk, they are, for example, long waist. And I give to solution that to get fatter, I give them milk. But if they don't have the ability to process lactose, they have diarrhea and they are thinner and thinner and thinner. So the problem is getting worse. Okay, my English maybe not very late, but the general idea is that. And a big example, the biggest example I know is this USAID aid in the 60s to Brazil, and goes to the Amazons and give them dry milk, and a lot of but our babies, they don't. So they lose quickly the ability to process lactose. I want any other question about it? Please don't be shy. I want to share, and I feel that I was very quick about this. I have more and more to say. I have a computer with 10 pages that I can upload to the campus if you want, with a detailed explanation about that, when bibliography, one advertise. I upload a lot of bibliography as supplementary readers to read, but I put the details of the world because for maybe I don't know. Yes, maybe you are interested in the physical anthropology. Okay, you have by the title you can know what is. You are interested in the cultural or in the industrial diet. Okay, I uploaded the entire book because maybe you want to have it or to read it later. So I put it's not mandatory to read all these books. I put the first in. Is the CIA also?
May I ask
See.
Have you ever thought food as a cultural construction before, because mainly we all come from like agrarian or agronomic own things in like the perspective of other disciplines or study objects. It's like we can really relatively say to make relative our own study object. And I think it's really
a curriculum, we may not be able to have a deeper knowledge of this. As for me, let me from the social sciences point of view, sociology. Before now, all that is in my head has to do with, okay, food, and you're talking about food, you talk about agriculture. And from my own background knowledge of biochemistry and molecular biology has little to do with what agriculture can do, except you use it as tools to just manipulate and enhance food production. Okay, but now you coming to tell us this, I'm beginning to open up and to see in another dimension that, okay, when you're talking about all this, there are other factors that needs to come into play or to put together to see in another view, which is not in any way in error, but it gives us an holistic view, a better perspective to look at things beyond our own point of view. Thank you. So I'm learning.
Okay. No. It was a challenge for us too, as a group. When we start thinking this course, planning this course, it was a challenge for us to understand what we say about culture, about nature, and about food. So, please.
Thank you very much for that side. I can remember during the elementary social study that food is part of culture. And what I tend to hold since that time is that what community eats has to be defined by their culture. And that's the reason why Nigeria as a country has a lot of culture, and each culture has some specific food that are related to them. For example, you just mentioned a food so liked by my sister sitting down there. That is I can't find choipan. I think it's cultural. Likewise, the tea too. You are taking is cultural too. Even the breakfast you are asking us about, and we are mentioning some series of names, is cultural too.
Of course.
That we are used to it, but reawakening it in our mind is a great opportunity that we can always bring something, a study. I don't know if I have laid my hand on a study talking about the culture and the food. I don't think I've lay my hand on it. And I think it's some of the areas that we can naturally exploit. Because when you are dealing with people and you are taking their culture along, irrespective of the technology, they are happy to adopt it. And this is part of another science which we can also use to improve. Thank you for sharing the knowledge.
Yes, thank you for the enlightenment about the relationship that can exist between food and culture. Yeah, I'm beginning to think about something. In our elementary biology back then, they were talking, I think they talked to us about like some vestigial organs, that things that organs that you tend not to use, and with time they become less functional, and and all that. So I'm beginning to think, in our generation we eat noodles, especially, I don't know if you eat it in your part of the world, but there is a high tendency, by maybe next generation, there will be something else they will embrace that is outside all these things that we eat now. So is there a tendency that with time, there will be a shift? Are you getting it, in terms of the way the organs that are functional in this generation may tend not to be so functional with them? And what then happens? Is there going to be evolution, and it goes on and on like that? So that's just my thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sometimes, wait.
Así por si no, no escucho.
Okay. Sometimes we think that an organ can lose the function when we don't use it, like the appendix. The appendix, yes. But maybe we have to do some more research to find if there is a function that we are not looking at. For the example that I used, the appendix, now there are some new information about that. That could be an organ for bacteria, gut bacteria, that is like yes, for the food fermentation, that is almacenada. Almacenada.
So storage.
Storage in this part of the gut is not used always, but when we take long-term antibiotics, and you lack some biodiversity of gut bacteria, the appendix is a reservation organ. So maybe we think that this organ is not functional, but maybe we are not looking at take in some particular moments or situations. So I don't know if I understand you, but it's to add some information.
I would like to add something related to culture and food. Maybe in Argentina, when we decide to study a career like food scientist or food technologies, we don't get much information about this and how culture is related to food. And maybe it's because of our origin, because maybe we lose most of our native people in our country because of how our country have been developed. But if you travel to countries in Central America, like Mexico, Guatemala, Colombia, yes, they have a lot of subjects inside the degree that are related to food. Whenever you decide to study that career in our countries, one of the first courses that you have to take for your formation is food culture and how it's related to industry.
In fact, nutrition science born as a social science to get the population better health. But today it's more like a medical, like a social science.
I really liked what Agustin said, and also the question and this reflection, and I just wanted to add it. I'm not a philosophy specialist, I am an environmental scientist, but I think we should reflect as researchers or as scientists that our own science culture. Then the fact of not having these cultural aspects, dimensions in our own curriculum careers is also a way of structure the production and reproduction of the knowledge. Then our science is designed not to add these cultural issues or dimensions. And in this program, we are in a South perspective program. We should also add this common question that means or focuses in the way our sciences or our university systems are structured. Are they useful for us, cultural community needs? Or are we reproducing science structure and profession, types of profession or group of knowledge areas that are designed not to add these cultural issues? And okay, we think we need to make a big review of this because we are the scientists of the present and of the future, and we should. That's why we conform this professor team that involves many different areas, and really it was a huge challenge to arrive this day to this point. Other courses didn't involve this issue, this challenge, and really it was easier for them. But we think that we have this compromise, this call.
We start meeting weekly since the first days of this year to work and to have the presentation articulated. So our classes are collective classes, in fact. And what Clara said is very important because you can here find 3 stages of the industrial diet. I am basing on Anthony Wilson Industrial Diet book. You can find on the campus. And I said, these stages are related to the norm time frame. For us, maybe they are another time frame, but this not, the dominion are that we present this are even in a South-South course, we present as universal, and maybe it's not universal. What I found really interesting about that is the first industrial diet start in the 19th century. So, oh, the globalization, 20th century, after WW2, the Green Revolution, the standardization of diet. But the first standardization start here with the milk industry and the white flour. This was the first, food technology, food industry, the action of food via industrialization. The first one was white flour. And the first UPF, ultra processed food, what was the first UPF? Ultra processed food. And who was related to this? It was the margarine, the cheap butter, cheap way to make butter, butcher, or as you say, butcher. And it was Napoleon who made who create a price and it was a lot of money, to the scientists to resolve the problem to create a butter, but cheaper to do, cheaper to create. And it was Alpert, the same guy that created el coso que usan para esterilizar las latas. El autoclave, ¿cómo se dice en inglés? ¿Cómo se llamaba el que inventó el autoclave? A sterilization machine for the canned food was the same guy that discovered, that invented it was a chemical engineering that created the margarine in the Napoleonic Wars as part of the demands of the French army that's travel. And that is a great book if you want to know about the globalization of diet. It simply means sugar, sweetness, and power. Power. I can show you if you want. It's about the first global industry in that was global because it's created. The sugarcane is born in Java Island. It's translated to South America. People are translated from Africa to South America to work in these plantations. And this plantation was created to feed population in England, in France, in Germany, but especially in England, by the people of the Industrial Revolution. When they start having a lot of calories from homebrew beer and start eating cookies, industrialized cookies, and a good that was very scarce, very scarce, very little around, and very expensive. The sugar start implement their scale and lowering the price by incrementing the scales, but at a terrible human cost. Slavery, all the machine, because and the ecosystem in Latin America, all this was part of this first global diet. But Wilson, from a very limited perspective, say that the first industrial diet started in 1870. Remember, America was discovered just finding a way to go to India to get spices. So food was an important factor of evolution. But let's start with the Wilson industrialized diet. These three stages have a lot of points in common, and you can read this as an exacerbation and intensification of the issues and the solution of each stage. Because the first stage is when they incorporate to the global market more territory, more lands to crop wheat and meat. Where? In the colony of the big, the big powers of that time, especially in USA, in Australia, in Argentina, in Canada. More offers of wheat and meat, but especially of wheat, standardized the diet. We start eating more bread, we start eating more globally the same, and the key food here is the white flour, and the first cooked food. So before the end of the WTO, but the interesting of this is that until 1930s, before the New York crack, it was the first globalization era. Brazil was the first in Latin America when the coffee export, and Argentina had two main exportations. Agriculture, but especially beef. And beef, not the beef we want, the beef that have two conditions. The beef that England wants, and the beef that travel better from Buenos Aires to London. And in fact, the term frigorific? That the refrigerator, a big scale refrigerator? The frigorific is frigorifique. It was the name of the first ship that can translate chill milk from Buenos Aires to London. It was a big prize for the first inventor that can translate chill milk, chill beef from Buenos Aires to London. And they feel that not only they win, they travel with the same meat from London to Buenos Aires. And of course, the meat was spoiled.
Like a huge freezer.
Yeah. In fact, there is in that area there are some crazy ideas. They translate ice, big blocks of ice, from Boston, from Canada to the Caribbean. You know, with wood, and they work. It's incredible. I said, well, now you have OGMs, GMO, you know, but in that time, that's crazy ideas. I already told you that there are even first global diet with the means, with the sugar cane, but this was the first capitalism diet. So in this case, if you are looking at this as productive system with capitalist perspective, this is the first area. The first area starts the first standardization in the global diet that generates in a second moment, that is the Green Revolution moment. That is interesting that we think on a regular basis that the Green Revolution started all in the aspect of technology, in the aspect of how you can industrialize the production. But at the end of this era, you know, between 1930 and 1949, there is a lot of national process to industrialize, to modernize agriculture and the production of food, but with different perspectives. What happened with the Green Revolution diet is that the big power of that time, you know, USA after WW2, standardized the way that we face, that we understand the production of food. The hybrid in that period, at the end of that period, they invest a lot of money, the local governments, the state nations, invest a lot of money in the development of hybrid seeds, but not standardized hybrid seeds. Local variety of seeds, but getting better, but natural hybridization. In this,
we are almost in time.
okay.
Do you want us to return at 30?
It's possible to return for 1 more hour or so at 30?
We do the break now for 1 hour online, and then we return and have the finish.
I have a proposal. Maybe we can do the break shorter.
Okay, for me it's okay.
Here, half an hour is okay for the break. Maybe we can come back.
Yo pensé que seguíamos hasta 1:30, por eso. Sí, yo no quiero hablar. Sí. Ok. Ok, como quieras, Clara. Si me dejas termino. I finish with the second stage, and when we resume, we continue with the third stage. What I was saying was that this kind of standardization of the food production and the globalization of the North American diet is not only a question about production, a question about how they eat the food we like. It's about global power. It's more concentrated from here to here. It's a more concentrated way to produce food. It's more. We are going to see biopower and Foucault perspective tomorrow, but it's a kind of biopower. The intervention of life, the intervention of food, of power in the food, not only in the way we eat, as we see a few minutes ago, even in the way we produce food, and the tools involved in the way we produce food. If you want, we stop here, and when we resume, we'll talk about period that is the corporate agribusiness period or stage, and what the solution generates new problems. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
So if you have questions, I can answer later.
Thank you, Dr. Blacha. Is it okay for all of us? Also the people there, are you okay? Hello, how are you? We would really like to hear from you. Okay, if we do all agree, sorry, what? Okay, am I right? we hear you.
Okay.
Hear you. Okay, they say it's okay. Okay, then time to do our break. If we all agree, we would like to do the break now because the other courses are doing the break on this time. An important opportunity to do something else, all together. We really wanted to ask you what was the break yesterday? Did you have lunch? We don't really know which is the main organization here. We think that you have to like walk to other place and return. Is it okay? 1 hour for a break? Is it? Do you prefer to do half an hour break? What do you prefer to do for the lunch break?
What do you prefer
For all of you, for
okay.
the people here and the people there. 1 hour is okay? Okay, do we return at 1 p.m.?
Yes.
And we restart from the point where Professor Lacha stopped? Okay, is it okay?
Yes.
Okay, the people there, are you okay? Is it better today with this professional audio system that our partner brought? 1 hour is okay. Okay, then when we return here, you are going to be there connected, right? Or not? Very much better, very fine, 1 hour it's okay. Okay, then we have a consensus. That's okay for all of us? Agustin, did you want to say something?
I thought that they were not going out to have a lunch. That's why I proposed half an hour instead of an hour. But if you are only to have lunch, half an hour is enough.
Are you all going to that buffet or some place? We don't know the place, sorry. Okay, but do you have options here to have lunch? Does anybody hasn't lunch yesterday?
There is also a restaurant inside this and yeah, this one, yes.
Okay, and was it okay for you? That options in that restaurant?
There is rice and so many things.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, when we return, we are going to ask you please to give your assistance today. Assistance is the present, ¿se dice así? No, ¿cómo se dice la
Just to check your names.
Attendance. We are going to ask you to signature your assistance to your attendance for today. I'm sorry. And professors here have already controlled the students virtually connected, and we are going to control it again on the afternoon. Then we really wait for you. Please come. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor.
Okay, we stop it at the end of this, that we are going to talk more about it at the end of the class. But what happened there? Here is the third period that not Wilson, but other authors characterize as an financial agri-food regime. This is the third part of the industrial diet. And for me, as I already told you, that the key element in this is the white flour. The key element in the diet of the Green Revolution could be the supermarkets and the fast food global change, like KFC, for example. Here, the problem is that the undernourishment leads to malnutrition. As we are going to see in a few minutes, the problem is that the hunger doesn't solve at this stage, continues at this stage, but a new problem is added, the problem of obesity, at least as a global perspective. So you can solve some incomplete problem, an incomplete characterization of hunger that results in another problem when hunger isn't solved, and obesity is a key element in the industrial diet. There is a nutritional nutrition that is a term is that change in the daily diet about the more composition of UPF, the ultra processed food. We're going to talk about this kind of food in tomorrow's class, but another key element of this are, I think it's the main, because it's related with all this all this part of the factor is the is spelled in Spanish, that are genetic modified organism. Because GMO, okay, the GMO are the key of passage because it can explain the problem of the hunger, the problem of the malnutrition, and this is made by Doritos. Do you have Doritos here? Okay, but you have Pringles, I mean, Lay's, Pringles. Okay. Do you know the history of Pringles? The cheap potatoes. No, in fact, do you know how the Pringles? Yeah, but do you know the Pringles? How the Pringles are made? No, not really. In fact, yes and no. They are made from potato, yes, but from potato flour. No, so they cut the potato, kneels the potato, make flour, and reconstruct as a perfect chip. So, okay, it's a more processed food.
But it was working until.
It's green now.
It's green now?
Yes, it's green. Then you heard that?
No. No, it's here. It's green? No. Okay, okay.
No, pero ahora lo apagaste. Maybe.
then the state
O decís que el otro está dando. Hi, hi, 1, 2, 3, testing, hi, hi. We're sorry.
The concept is useful because, okay, it's a reality, at least in Latin America, that we consume more processed food, more chips, more industrialized food. That is right. I don't know here if we consume more than 10 years ago or 20 years ago, more processed food. And these foods are cheaper than real food. At least in some, sometimes not in the case of snacks or chips or Pringles, but in another food, like noodles, pre-cooked noodles, they are very cheap. So this is a part, the useful part of the transition. The travel part of this concept of transition is that it's mandatory that the global South follows the same path that the North do. And it's not, it's part of a very deterministic approach related with geopolitical relationships. Not a long time ago, about 60 years ago, there was a theory. You heard about the theory of dependency? It was made in Brazil, Cardoso and Faleto. The theory of dependency. For the theory of dependency, there are some people that it's before the global North and the global South perspective. It's more that related like development and undeveloped countries. In the 1960s, so there are countries in the center, England, USA, France, Germany, and there's country in the periphery, Argentina, Brazil, and our countries produce the raw materials to be industrialized in the global North. And you can't change that perspective. In fact, the elites in the dependency, in the periphery, have less power and are dependent themselves from the elite on the North. This perspective is like the nutrient transition is for 1980 and have the same deterministic approach. We in the South must follow mandatory the same path as the North. So we as actors want to change it, but the nutrition, but the concept of transition don't allow us to do that. So I don't like this concept about this mandatory deterministic approach. It's useful in some part just to say we don't eat the same way that we ate about 20 years ago, but has the problem of this deterministic approach. Pásame la siguiente, Nolina, la otra. Esta la vamos a dejar para acá. So, until now, I was talking about industrial diet. It has a lot of problems, is increase the inequalities, the social inequalities, a new type of inequality that in the University of Quilmes talk about the nutritional inequalities, the access to nutrients to a new factor of inequalities, just not social classes or economic differences about the access to nutrition. But this access to nutrition is a little tricky if you analyze in a linear perspective. Let me tell you. The bars, the blue bars, are the global population. And the orange line are the calories per capita per day. Today, we have like 2,900 kilocalories per day. So hunger is not a problem of production. It's a problem of distribution. But, for example, the Green Revolution construct the problem, build the problem as a problem of production. There is not enough calories. This is not the problem. But the most interesting part, pasame la siguiente línea, por favor. The most interesting part that this calculation about kilocalories that is 35% more kilocalories day per capita or capita, it's produced when the world population more than double. It's 173% of population, in the global population, between 1960 and 2000. That's a lot. So, more people and even more calories than people. And it's only could achieved from in industrial diet regime. In the third stage, in the second and in the third stage of the industrial diet that Wilson talks about. Pásame la siguiente. But the consequences of this is that we, the yellow bars, are undernutrition, and the yellow part are obesity. We reduce the blue. Okay, the blue is undernutrition, and the orange are obesity. So we start reducing the amount of people under nutrition. The percentage is not 100%, they are in percentage, because there are people that aren't obese or aren't under nutrition. So we reduce the amount of people under nutrition, but we compensate that with more obese people. The fight against hunger, at least in the peripheral areas of Argentina, for example, the north part of Argentina have the highest levels of poor people, the highest level of undernutrition people, and in the same state, in the same territory, they have both the highest obesity rates. Because when you can't eat, you are undernutrition. But when you can eat, what you really can eat are UPF, ultra processed food, that has a lot of calories, but no nutrition. And no nutrition is no fiber. They have no dietary fiber. Yes. So,
growing rate of malnutrition in the last program is related to COVID?
Yes, and the obesity in this calculation are not available at the time. So you can eat, you are under nutrition, but these people can eat, they can eat food with high caloric index, with a lot of calories per gram. This is not an inclusion perspective. This is exclusion by another ways. I think Lucas talked about this in the video. And so there is a technology to reduce the undernutrition. Yes, if you can pay it. For example, if this rate in 2008, you know, with the food crisis, the development against undernutrition stops because the food, the rice, the soybeans, the raw materials, the cheaper raw materials goes up. And a lot of people that have the same amount of money can buy the basic food, the staples they eat every day. So when they have more money, they start, when they have when they come eat again, they start eating a lot more, and a lot more of cheap food, processed food. The second should be cheap with no nutrients. So, pasame la siguiente, por favor. So, yes. Sí. Yes.
I noticed that from 2017, there was no obesity attached to the reason why that.
Because FAO calculates earlier the undernutrition, but not the obese. The obese are slower to it's one of them. But I want you to show that the FAO says, okay, we are going to reduce the undernutrition. Our perspective is useful to reduce undernutrition, but the perspective implemented is about if the people have enough money to buy very basic staples. If you have the same money, but the staples prices get higher, you started going undernutrition. The food security, if you have, I think it's $1.75 per day per person to spend on food. It's $1.75 $1.70 per day per capita.
Sorry?
That's the average
The FAO say that if you have at least $1.75 to spend on food per person every day. No, you don't have food insecure if you have this amount of money. So, yes. Yes.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate this session.
Sorry, can you give him your microphone because
yes, of course. So people online.
Okay. Thank you very much for this section. All the sections has been awesome, and I want to use this privilege to appreciate you once again. Based on the statistics that we've been showing so far, I can see that it doesn't show the skeleton of Africa, especially the Nigerian, very well, because I'm very aware that most of these levels of malnutrition, they are so endemic in Africa, of which Nigeria is not exempted. So that as a citizen, and to also increase our way of solving, because that's one of my goals of being here, that after this training, I should be able to some extent solve most of these problems that are rampant in Africa, and the song of the glory of you can be sung to other people too. Is that this level of the hunger problem, you are talking about the problem of it being distribution problem and not of production. But in Africa, the scenario we are familiar with is totally different from this, especially in Nigeria. The problem of food security is actually lingering on higher post-harvest losses, just like my colleague has said something similar to that there. And this level of obesity too, in Africa is, I think, I don't have the current statistics, but I think we are far wellness of this graph we are looking at. So we really appreciate if, as you are explaining what is happening to us in the global world, if to some extent we can also have an idea, so that at least, because it looks like an illusion, what is happening in our country, the percentage of malnutrition and obesity here, they are still well displayed. But what you are having, I think malnutrition to undernutrition to obesity will take even larger than quarter, like more than 75%, because according to the poverty statistics, that is level of poverty we are having in the country is not even a matter of obesity and malnutrition. So we appreciate if you can actually try to paint the scenario of Africa, so that you can also try to have the knowledge of how to do. Then I want to ask about this problem of malnutrition. There are some, just like you have been saying, that environment, culture also has a role to play in this, most of these things we are talking, like the current issue of climate change, issue of international politics on these effects, their multiplier effects on some of these parameters we are looking at. Then this 1.75, even the studies that have been able to carry out looking at the poverty status with $1 as the baseline, we still have more than 68% of Nigerians that are poor. So now raising it to 1.75%, meaning that we can be talking about 95% of people with the current economic crisis we are having. So I will appreciate just like an observation. Thank you, sir.
In the World Food Program, we have information about Nigeria. We have been researching in the web, and there you can get some information that is more clear.
Okay, so I introduced this this data because on this I want what you said. This is the global perspective because this kind of
Sorry.
no, pásame la siguiente. La siguiente.
Bueno.
This kind of solution has one perspective. No local so the problem is the same, the solution must be the same. So it's useful, the nutritional transition as a global concept, yes. As a global solution, no. You know that mandatory, follow the path. So the global South pays, for example, in Latin America, export food and started to import food. So there's more food miles. It's the distance between the field to the plate, the production to the consumption. And more food miles is more dependency on fuels, oils. And the first commodity in the world is oil. So not Nigeria, control the price. But the solution is to combat obesity. Because in the international perspective, undernutrition is solved. If you don't solve, it's because you don't do what FAO says you need to do. From this perspective, not from my opinion, from this perspective. And the arrows as a circle, that is part of the process. If you don't produce, it's okay, import. But where does the currency to import come from? Okay, it's not a problem. If you don't have the farmers or your farmers don't have the necessary amount of money to produce the land in modern ways, it's okay. Import, use more fuel oil or biodiesel if you want. So, more soybean, more palm oil. We're here. I think that you are there in palm oil. Your food has, as a regular basis, more palm oil. Of the calories we are incorporated in a global system, in the bars and in the yellow bars, come from drinks, frappuccinos, sodas, sweetest, beverage. So it's part. These bars. These bars are explained that from 1960 to I think this to 2010, we incorporated globally like 450 kilocalories per capita per day. It's like having an extra meal. But it is a global perspective. In USA, maybe they are 800. And in Nigeria are like 200 less. So this data is okay to have the big picture. Yesterday, a colleague of you, another student, said, but what is the difference on the systematic approach, but this is okay, you have a problem. a specific problem. Okay, I have a solution for you. The same for everyone. One size fits all. Increase your food sheet. What? It doesn't matter if it's corn, it's soybean, it's meat. It doesn't matter. For this, it doesn't matter how many calories you can eat. If you want to reinforce that perspective, incorporate the data about the impact of this consumption in the human body. And this is, you know how to measure obesity or undernutrition? The BMI, don't you? And you know when the BMI is born? Body mass index. And it started, you know what, when it started to be used? When they started using, when did it started use the BMI index? How it originates? In the 40s, the Metropolitan Insurance Company in New York wants to sell life insurance. So it must have, some different categories because not all people live the same. And start using a very scientific method that is how much you weigh and how tall you are. They divide and it makes the body mass index. If you have a body mass index higher than 25, you are obese. So you have to pay more for the insurance. But it's specific. Okay. For example, similar numbers, but I have a lot of muscle. I'm not. I have fat. So you can be a potato coach or a basketball player, and you have maybe similar BMI. So it's important. No, what is a global measure because it's easy to calculate. You only need a bascule. I have to know how tall you are. Put this on a calculator, not even a computer, a calculator, and you have a BMI. It's easy because there is another ways to measure, undernutrition, your circumference, especially in kids of your arms. But this is a standard because everyone can do. Every country is a measure. So we compare Nigeria, Argentina, Brazil, US. That's the same. And this is the standardization that results and that reinforces the perspective that the first graph, el de las calorías per cápita. Reinforce that. And that's it. But it doesn't solve the problem. That's even face the real problem of access to food that is the fight against against social exclusion. So we talk about nutritional inequalities because you see this and you said, okay, there is no exclusion. There is an inclusive system. There's more calories, more people, and even more calories for everyone. But in fact, as you said, not everyone is having the same amount of kilocalories. Just kilocalories are not, but Michael Phelps when he was training for the Olympics, but it's Michael Phelps. She's swimming like I don't know 6 hours a day. We don't. The average amount of kilocalories for a man is like 2,000, and it's a lot. It's more than the 50% that we need. So it's how we construct the problem. The class of today is how we construct the problem. And with this data, it's difficult to understand the real dimension of the problem. But it's the data that everyone goes to look after, was to investigate first. This is foul. And it's okay, yes, it's okay to understand that it's a problem about food, but the problem is not about production. The problem is more complicated than that. And you know that. ¿Qué se
No, que me lo
Ah, perdón.
Thank you. Now I want to add to this what Professor Blatter is talking, that now we are more digitalized. Our life are more digitalized in the last years. More after the COVID-19 pandemic. So this reinforces what he said about our lifestyles, because we are sedentary. We don't have activities that requires that amount of calories per day. So the medium, the average that those organisms tell us, it's tricky. It's tricky because we have different lifestyles, and the trend, okay, the trend is that we are more sedentary life than in the future years. Yeah, and we will need less calories. So it's not about the calories, it's about the nutrients, it's about the culture, and the culture, no, and the needs, and
because this very high amount of calories is produced with less people involved in the production. The only continent that has more rural population than urban population is Africa. So this change here, I think, does even start, because when we have more power started in 1961, all data, so it's very complicated. But for example, we are at least at 1930, we have more rural, in Argentina, we have more rural than urban population. But about 40s, we have even there, we were a big and important player in the global market of food production. We have even there more urban than rural population. So it's not only a factor of the land's property, or if there's more shops available in the rural area or there isn't. It is important, but it's not only that makes that small farmers go out their own lands. So here in this continent, there is a possibility to prevent and to incorporate knowledge of previously experienced in another continent. That is not the solution. Is not the rural population. You know that a few minutes ago I talked about the theory of dependency. How to to index, to investigate, to have an indicator about development. How many of your population lives in the field, and how many population you have in the urban areas. But if you incorporate technologies like Green Revolution do, the Green Revolution propose higher harvest yields, but with less people involved, more machinery, more standardization, more hybrid seeds. So you can increase the amount of calorie, even you can increase the amount of population, but you also increase the social exclusion. So, this, pasamos un par. So, no, sí, ahí está. No, al anterior. So, how we can get more calories with less people involved in the production of this calorie? So, just to see, to briefly present, the industrial diet has three major, aspects, characteristics. Simplification of the diet, and this simplification is very easy to understand. You have more calories and less nutrients, because when you irrigate artificially, when you plant big monoculture crops, you have less diversity in your day-to-day meals. So you eat, your nutrients you have access to less nutrients. So it's part of the simplification and the refinement that simplification is going from, whole flour to white wheat flour that have less mineral, less vitamins. The second characteristic is the accelerated rate of return of the capital, of the investment. It's more standardized. You put the money today in, I don't know, monoculture, and you know that in 6 months, 8 months, you have the same amount of money with, a secure profit, and you have the technology. And the third is that this kind of food have a main feature, and the main feature is that it's designed to be tasty. It's designed to eat a lot. So they incorporate macroadulterants. The solution is that everyone eats, but I present here as a question: does everyone really eat? You already answered it, but from the global perspective, if you are from Nigeria, I am the FAO, say, no, look, you are wrong. But no, you are not wrong. But in the global data, some parts of the world, we are going to see this tomorrow, but the global north has a big production of calories, and the global south have production of nutrients, and we exchange calories that are cheap and a lot for nutrients that are scarce, and their impact in our health. So it's part of the geopolitical, is what I'm going to say. Pásame la siguiente. No las quiero. Okay. So we talk about this. No, okay. Okay. We stop it here. That we must eat a lot of calories. There is some kind of convention that you can't eat more than 650 kilograms per capita per year. It's like convention. Some people can eat, I don't know, 700, but another can eat only 550. So if the people who can afford the food can physically eat more, and they are not be able, be willing to pay more, you must to increase your consumers base. It's like Piketty perspective, the French economist, Piketty. It's an economic theory that talks the capitalism for everyone, some kind of friendly capitalism with, inclusive perspective. So they, Piketty, I can't remember the name. It's Thomas Piketty. So they increase your consumer base, just made a capitalism let the poor enter the capitalism. We have in Latin America something that is called a type of public policy that is conditioned transfers of money. It's what we call the tarjeta alimentar, is that the ITER car or something like that. I give you money that you only can use to buy food. But it's like a credit card, but you go to the local. Yes. But it's more interesting because I don't give you the ticket. I give you the card, like a Visa credit card, but you can go whatever you want, but you only can buy food. No alcoholic drinks, only food. But okay, this is a. Do you think this is a public policy for inclusion? No, come on. I want to hear you. No. If I answer the exercise over, so come on. It's technological, of course it's technological, but it's inclusive. And why it's not inclusive, or why yes, it's inclusive?
At the first instance, it will be.
I'm sorry.
At the first instance, you can use it. It's like solving a specific solution at that moment. But at the long run, it's not sustainable. So the best thing is to do is to encourage people to also farm within their community so they can actually make that a sustainable method.
What is not sustainable for you? What is not sustainable in the long term?
Yeah, we're talking about the meal ticket now, the card. I'm talking about that. I'm talking about the card now that if you give me now, for now, I can use it. But at the long run, it's not sustainable.
Why?
Because at a point in time, okay, let's say for instance now that card that you're talking about, it might be a form of a way that you can always like no, like you can always, I don't know how to put it. You know the way ATM card is, automated teller machine card, the way it is that when you have money in it, you can always withdraw and get your money. That's the way I see the card. Whatever it is, or you have, you can always use that card to get food. But at the long run, you can't use it anymore. Once the technology dies, it's something that you continue using at the long run. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
That cannot solve the problem because you get the card every time you need.
Yes, every time. What if I exhaust the option of that card? What else will I use? Do you get?
We are in the same page. Okay. We consider we as the team of researchers, not as a public policy. The public policy, okay, we have more inclusion, but in fact, it works only for the big food company that create a product especially for these people. The people is hungry, so it doesn't matter what it is. I can sell you something cheap that they can buy with this card. You can't get money from the card. You only must to use to pay. And so, but it is about the production, the offer. You only buy access to nutrients. Because I know, for example, maybe if you give you $1, you can buy $1 of noodles, and I think will be a lot of noodles, but less amount of meat. So in Brazil, they do something different. Just not let the poor eat. Okay, they said let the poor help the poor to eat. You heard about Fome Zero? Is Hunger Zero in Brazil. It's the program that Lula creates, but it's, Lula is the president of Brazil. Okay. Is it actually now? So Lula. Oh yeah. The former and the current. So they articulate differently. They say, we have a lot of small farmers that are the MST, Movimiento Sin Tierra. Is movement, is a corporation of small farmers without land, without the property of land. As an organization, yes. No. It's an association. It's not a capital N. But there are a lot of people that are articulated that way. The state buys the production of these small farmers as the food they present in the school beans to secure an income every day because they can be sure that the state will pay for their crops. So they have a secure income because there's something in Latin America that I'm saying here that maybe the same, that they say the prices of the food for the small farmers are negotiated at the back of the truck, and maybe with a gun or something like that. So I am the owner of the truck. I say I pay you like I don't know $2 from this amount of tomatoes or whatever. But I know for the tomatoes, in the tomatoes crop, in the harvest, I already spend like $5. Okay, I pay you $2. Take it or leave it. And this is the way that the prices are fixed. With this program, the state fixes a price that is convenient for the state, but convenient for the small farmer too. Why is convenient to the state? Because the production, like Clara are going to talk about in the next classes, are agroecology, without toxins. There are variety of food and for free and it's the same. It's fight against hunger. But one is inclusive and other are non-inclusive. The cards are not inclusive because say about how what's the actually food really it's the same that already acknowledged. It's like processed food. The other way is incorporate a lot of small farmers, a lot of poor people. The state negotiating and create a base to produce is more inclusive. So the problem is the same, but for example, for the industrial typical, corporate agribusiness, they have a problem. Okay, you have not enough food imported. It involves a lot more of fuel, of fossil fuels. It's not a problem. You have to eat. Okay, you can eat what you produce. It's not a problem. I have a standardization, a global solution. Okay, with more calories. So you are obese. Okay, they are no undernutrition. They are obese now. Oh, but more food miles requires more, fossil fuels. It's not a problem. We convert these liquid calories in biofuels. And the process going on. The technology works? Yes, of course, works because it's adopted. And it's adopted by who? By the great corporation. You can find here the users. You can find here consumers. And you can find consumers here if they have the money to pay it. If not, they are out of this corporate system. But the system, even there, continue working. So, the food, there is the North American anthropologist that has a really great book called Good to Eat, Good to Think. It has a Marxist perspective, but it's very interesting. They talk about the importance of soybean in China to develop a society even in the 10th century or 11th century, and the importance of soybean to produce, for example, big urban population, to sustain big urban population, because the soybean has the complete amino acid change as the meat has. So it was an alternative to the meat production that, for example, another Western countries implement to feed the population. So now the food is not good to eat. Now it's good to sell. The food converts in mercancy, in a commodity. And in what is the cycle where this good to sell food inserts? There are no history. The history is the product that we create now that is exciting, is new. It was created to sell, so the profits are mandatory. It's designed, it's not natural, it's no cultural identity or traditional practice involved. It's only design. And the problem of hunger, of food, of eat is an individual problem. There is no social roots. So we have, as a consequence of this, that we have the healthy food that a lot of people can buy healthy food, fruits, meat. And in another way, you have the tasty food. The food designed to eat, designed to feed, designed to eat more and more and more. It's amazing. So the concept that we already discussed about gastronomy has new consequences. There is new rules to it, just the old ones that when something is healthier, is tastier too. Can explain the transformation of food consumption. There are new rules. We have satisfaction, we have trust brands, identity, because I am the guy who eats Pringles, not potato chips, no jam. It's Pringles. It has, a brand. It has a standardized flavor. I have barbecue Pringles or original Pringles or the most consumed cookie in the world. You have here the Oreos. It's designed for a specific public that the Oreo is, is like a light, like a dead cookie. So you put in the milk, and it's going to create users at very early ages. It's designed for child, but the amount of sugar they have is make you cook it all your life. And the publicity about Oreos is happy moments. Happy moments. Because when you are sad, let's eat an Oreo and remind the happy moments when your life was secure, you're a child. But it's the connection, it's the brand, it's the satisfaction, it's the trust. Go to a play, a trusty place in your head when you feel it. So when I start talking about, the stages of a global, the industrial diet, I say, okay, please don't forget the early concept about cultural identities, feeling good, gastronomy, because it's all related to analyze the actual industrial part. For example, I like 4 days here, 5 days here. It's the first time in my life, in the last 20 years, I don't see a McDonald's here. I see a lot of KFC, but there are McDonald's in Nigeria. McDonald's?
In Nigeria?
Yes. Okay.
No, we don't.
It's, I don't eat in McDonald's, but you in McDonald's the M, you know the yellow big M. There, even in Buenos Aires, we have the choripan. It's okay, but there is a McDonald's in every neighborhood. Here, you have the KFC or the chicken.
And you have someone that eats chicken eating.
But it's a kind of standardization. And it's very, so I want to say that this is power. Yes, but this brand, Royal, my grandma used it. And use it, this brand, because
We don't have this.
okay.
No other brand.
Yeah, it's bicarbonate. ¿Cómo se dice bicarbonato?
Sodium bicarbonate.
Sodium bicarbonate. It's baking soda. It's baking soda. It's baking soda with a brand. But my grandmother that cooks a lot used Royal, not other brand. And the most, Doña Petrona, that is a lady that cooks on TV and was an important role in the cultural identity of food, was sponsored by Royal.
In Argentina, we have many brands that we think that is the name of the product.
Yeah.
So when you say Royal, you think of
Baking soda.
When you say Mancena, it's one product.
You know, the white one that is really, really small. So the hamburger we said patty. But this is a cultural construction too. And I think that the brand is part of the new rules. So we say, okay, I'm agree with Claire concept of gastronomy, but it's half of one side of the coin. The other is I don't agree. It's because I think they are new rules and are so different to the other rules that I eat a Mentos, not a sweet. I use Rory, take Coca-Cola, not another brand. This is a kind of construct, cultural identities via capitalism. But it's another way to, there are social identities in that. Vamos con la que sigue. So, for every problem, there is a solution, and the North will give us a solution. I really like this lady. It's called Marion Nestle. Do you know it? Marion Nestle. Nestle. It's not related with the Nestle brand. No. It's a very interesting. I don't know if it comes from the anthropology or from the sociology. The biggest book is social politics and food politics. They are very USA related cases, study cases, but it's interesting because she have an email list that every day send you different materials, and on the Friday they send you the review of a book about food, different from, I don't know, a FAO report or a book about the food in some places. So it's very interesting that she said that the supermarket, as part of the industrial system, okay, we have the seed and Monsanto, Chandri and the machinery. We have Nestle for processing and distribution of Coca-Cola, name it. You have the brands, but the place when we buy our food, and for example in Argentina, the biggest amount of products of these industrial products we buy at supermarket. In the supermarket there is no free choice. So in the global south, in the north south, in the global north, they said you can vote with your consume. They said vote when you're folk. What you buy, by buying something, you are, voting. If you buy something organic, you are not taking, and for example, you're buying an organic apple, you are not buying, an ultra processed or apple juice. You buy the orange. It's some kind of both, but it is about without questioning, without a critical approach about the entire system of food production. So this is not part of the solution, especially when the owners of the supermarkets and other transnational companies act as landlords of the except gondolas, but I must say shelves. You know, the supermarket shelf. So there is a standardization in this process that creates forced diversity. Few commodities, processed, to have a diversity, but all products in the supermarket have the same component. Do you know that? In some different, and you know what is that component? Corn. Corn is the cheapest way to produce energy. And you know what is the cheapest way to produce proteins? Soybeans. So our friend Marion Estrella says that everything in the supermarket has some amount of corn. Even the building has corn because you can transform corn in plastics. So there is that you have a lot of calories, but a lot of these calories, just to answer your question about why this area, it's used to biofuels. So you can divide the amount of calories by the amount of people, but not all these people eat the same amount of calories, but there's some kind of, there's some of these that is as part of this process. We are going to see this tomorrow with the higher Hola, hola, ¿me escuchas? This is part of the big picture. The partial solution The Pinnacle is not cheaper.
Pinnacle, yes, things are cheaper there at the Pinnacle, but I only know one that the things are cheaper. Pinnacle, that's the name. They are selling sort of things like it's a supermarket. Yes, it's a supermarket. They are just, it has been a while they are here, but I know of those ones that their product are small. Yes. It's not national, but in this food co, yes. Yeah. So another thing that segregates is the level of education. Here in this part, yes, here in this part of the world, Nigeria especially, the level of education is very, very low. So as a result of that, there is inferiority complex between the different classes. Add your Hausa brother to it and then divide the value. So another thing is the tax, the government policy on establishing some of these supermarkets. The tax is the economic policy is not so friendly on them. And now that our electricity, the level of our light issue to keep some of these products is very, very expensive. And that's the reason why that you are even losing some of the companies that have established here because of their cost of production of the light issue. And another thing is that the last one, which makes all those ones to be much more welcome, is that, you know, here the level of production in terms of agriculture now is very, very low. The level of production. So all those small ones, the profit they are getting is meager, is small, but it's able to cover larger number of people that they are able to find or earn their means through that. Maybe you can see small people selling, like 50 of them. By the time you have a supermarket there, what happens to them? What would they be doing for earning? And that is part of the reason that makes this supermarket to be thriving better than the supermarkets.
So we have different situations in that aspect. So as we start talking about South perspective, is to share that don't fall in the fallacy that all the South have the same problems and have the same elements to be part of the solutions. For example, as you told, and you told too, the solution must include the local markets. And for the government, the solution to get taxes paid is that you must buy in the supermarket. It's easy to collect. In the case that I already told you about this food card or food stamps, they only be accepted on majority basis in the big supermarkets. So the state wants to solutionate the problem of hunger, but gives increment the consumer base for the big supermarkets because they only accept this credit card. So the solution is getting of a concentrate system of products to increase the concentration of the system. So you must to see the big picture, the systemic approach that is important in the food solution. I have some more own green revolution, and we start from there thinking about the solutions and how to construct the solutions. As part of tomorrow, at the end of tomorrow, Clara, podremos at the end of tomorrow, I'm going to ask you about if you know local food solutions. We have a concentrated soup that my university produce. I want to share with you another example of food solution. But if you can start thinking of local food solutions, you know, I know, for example, that in Africa, Doctors Without Borders or Medics Without Borders, Medicine Sans Frontières was created, you know, a peanut butter solution that is called Plumpy Nuts. Do you know Plumpy Nuts?
We call it nutty here. Nutty. Peanut butter. Okay. We have it, but it's nutty. That's brown.
No, it is a medicinal special peanut butter that is called Plumpy Nuts. Plumpy Nuts. But maybe some, you know, institution create or NGO create another product, another artifact to fight against hunger and malnutrition. No. It's not all. It's given to the people.
Okay. You are going to see something like this today in the north, maybe in the northern part of the country. That is where you see people are giving free.
Yes.
Not where we have more ID cards.
Okay. To start thinking about, you know, if you know like that.
For tomorrow.
For tomorrow.
For us to summarize it and
Yes.
in order to the
For tomorrow morning. For tomorrow morning. To see where your food comes from. This is the first activity.
they ask personally or for as material.
No, for personally. Come from personally for everyone.
Okay.
At the supermarket, at the local market, where? From self-production, and just to start thinking, not for tomorrow morning, for the day after tomorrow morning, about food solutions. So I want to know what you think it might be a food solution, because we are talking tomorrow specifically about food solutions. Any doubt? Any questions?
This is what you're talking about.
Yes. We have. Okay. Are you very tired, or we can continue for half an hour more? If you need to leave, it's okay. But you want to. Okay, we finished here. Terminamos acá, me parece. Pues los veo cansados, pero.
I want to ask you if you can check your name in the column for the class. And you that the error name that you have in the virtual platform is solved. So you can enter to the platform and see your correct name.
Does everybody here can enter to the virtual platform? Does anybody need help? And can you hear your
See you tomorrow at 10. Pensé que alguien quería preguntar algo. See you tomorrow at 10 a.m. And you have the homework for tomorrow is thinking about where your food comes from. And if you have any question, don't hesitate to contact me. So until tomorrow, see you in the third class. See you. Bye.